with why religions cannot exist without their holy books. A lot of people want to talk to you about ancient Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and I'm going to show you where there is no ancient Christianity, that there is no ancient Islam, Judaism. All them religions are products of the printing press. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. And a lot of people would think that, no, they tell you to glorify you and to fool you into thinking, oh, Jesus lived around AD, 1 AD, and Moses. Ain't none of them is all comic book characters that were created and put on the printing press in 1437 is the exact date. That's right. That's it ain't and it did not exist before then. And if they stop putting them on the printing press, it's gonna stop having any type of relevancy because but you got the books out there today. You got the books out there today. Now let's talk to because what we're talking about institution. You see, religion is an institution, meaning that you got to have writing, and not just writing. You have to have mass publication. You got to have mass publication of literature. This is the modern world. This is not back when, people was up, candlelight. And even then, if you're writing, but we're talking about mass publication. With mass publication brings mass literacy. And mass literacy is when the majority of the people in the society could read, they could write. You see, they could, comprehend. And so the only way you can have mass literacy, mass awareness is mass publication of literature. You go to the library. You see, when you go to the library and you look up on the shelf, some popular books could have 10 to 15 copies. You see, on the shelf. Mass publication, Bibles. I don't know how many Bibles didn't been printed. When you have mass publication, you standardize information. You see, you don't have mass publication, then you got people's out here just talking. And when people just talk, they say whatever come to their mind. It's not standardized. So, when we talking about, most of these religions cannot exist without a book, a holy book. The book is the driving force that brings life to the religion. Without the book, now you can have certain, just like Zeus, back in the day in the Greeks, they didn't have no book for Zeus. You understand what I'm saying? So they didn't really, it was all, it was all over the place. People think, no, they believe, they just had beliefs. They didn't have no standardized beliefs. Because you can't standardize nothing without truly having literature where people are brought, as part of the curriculum. This is what's being taught. This is with mass literacy, mass publication will come a standardized curriculum. You get a standardized curriculum, a nationalistic curriculum, a state curriculum saying this is what we're going to teach the people. And you want everybody in the state, you want everybody in the nation to be primarily a one accord. You don't want everybody all over the place. So that's one thing about literature. So the Bible brings people to, first and foremost, they start printing millions of Bibles only in the 19th century. If you didn't have the Bible in your hand, how would you know of Adam and Eve? How would you know? It is through the book that you have gnosis, knowledge of any of the characters. Before that book, I'm just telling you, nobody knew of any of those characters. They are lying to y'all to make y'all believe, because every time they go back into and they find some old one-ass book, and that's why the general, I hear people always talking about the oldest book. Yeah, I bring up the oldest book. But the next question I ask him, I say, do you have the original manuscript? Okay, do you have the original manuscript? And the second question I'm gonna ask, was it mass produced? Because if it wasn't mass produced, it could be a forgery. But when you got mass production, then of course you're gonna have, you could have hundreds to thousands of references of people who had read the information. They are aware of the information. Not no one or two, because they can make one or two or three people up. You see what I'm saying? You can make one or two or three people up. But if you pressing out thousands and tens of thousands of manuscripts, then you're going to have more. That's just like when you go to Egypt. When you go to Egypt, the story of Osiris and Isis had been standardized. Meaning, yeah, it changed a little bit, but for the most part, the main aspects of Osiris was the same, whether you was in the north, whether you was in the south, whether you was in Nubia. His story had been his story had been standardized. Most of the deities had been standardized where, people saw them the same. It wasn't and it was some variation, but that was superficial variation. So when you see Osiris carved in the walls in the north, you see him carved in the walls in the south, he had the same position. It did not change. So that you can see that with literacy, you can standardize information. And with that, then the religion can really pop off. Before that mass publication of that Bible, there was no Christianity like y'all think today. Not like today. No, sir. It didn't. How would you even know of them characters? You got one monk. You think a monk is going to teach millions of people? You got to have the mass production of literature to bring that kind of gnosis to the masses. So really the reality is the church, as you know it today, this is really the era of Christianity. Today, if you go back to them earlier times, man, listen here, that shit mixed with so many fables from out of the ancient world. That is not Christianity. I'm just going to tell you that. That is not Christianity. That's a cauldron of all type of fables and so on. Because even when you get into the 1700s, even dealing with Santa Claus, you can see how he evolved in that short period of time. Just looking at Santa Claus, how he went from Odin and Thor, and then then the earlier Santa Claus, that he was Santa Claus, and then he was Bell Nickel and all these other characters. And then when he got to America, really, Christmas is an American holiday. Real talk, family. Christmas is an American holiday. Yeah, the 25th and all of that, and yeah, but if you would have went back 500 years to December 25th, it wouldn't have looked nothing like Christmas today. People don't understand the Christmas that you are practicing today. This holiday mega economy, all the gifts and You know what I'm saying? On this level is American. So Christmas did not exist before America, and Christianity did not, Islam, Judaism, none of them existed like you see them today, where people going, you got masses of millions of people going to church all over the world. That did not happen into the mass publication of the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and that's primarily been in the 19th century. Y'all got to quit letting them people lie to you and tell you that there was some ancient Christianity. That is a lie. That is a lie, family. I appreciate y'all being out there with me today. Wait a minute. Let me get over here. Let me get over here. Yeah, that's a lie. That's why they ain't got no books. That's why they ain't got no books. That's the prime example of why they ain't got no books. The Egyptians got books. The Egyptians got books. What's their excuse? Okay, let me drop this in here, family. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it moving. Get on over there to Patreon. Link right there in the top. Support the general. I'll be right black. Boom. Black pop.